later this summer. The founder of this group, Independent Veterans of America, is our buddy Paul Rieckhoff, who's also, of course, the host of the Independent Americans podcast. Welcome, Paul. So, I wonder in the why now for something like this, and we'll put up the chart, if you look at the share of the members of Congress who are veterans falling, there it is, in recent decades, if that is why you're doing something like this right now. Tell us.
Yeah, the moment requires it, Connell. I think that figure really underscores the need for veteran leadership. I think the debate we saw last week underscores the urgency of this moment. And we just saw new stats today. This is 51% of Americans are independent. There are now more independents than Republicans and Democrats combined, and 49% of veterans are independent. So this Independence Day week, we are recruiting independent veterans to be the hope for America's future. If you're a veteran of any generation and you are not a Democrat or Republican, your country needs you. And Independent Veterans America wants to help you run, be successful, and win. So we're looking to find as many as we can by the end of the summer, announce our endorsements. And this is really a multi-decade plan, Connell, to try to create a new source of hope and integrity and experience in our political system, because we all know we need it now more than ever.
I think the stereotype, and you know this, of the military person is that they tend to be more conservative, but you say about half are actually independent. So what are the characteristics, what are the traits you're looking for in these candidates?
Well, we're being pretty straightforward about this. And first of all, I think it's important to underscore we want people who want to put country over party. We're looking for people with integrity and experience and leadership. But most of all, if you're an independent, if you're not a Democrat or Republican, Libertarian, any other party, if you are a veteran who served in the United States military and you're not crazy, we welcome you. Go to independentveteransamerica.org. We're going to vet them. We're going to certify their veteran status. We're also going to provide them with support. We're going to get them training. We're going to get them free online campaign tools. We're going to get them media support. We're going to get them money, because we know they are up against a very formidable foe in the duopoly. The Democrats and Republicans are strong. We see how that's failing America. We want to create a new wave of veterans who can bust it up and provide hope at this critical time, Connell. I think that this Independence Week is the perfect time for people to declare their independence and be a part of this wave of the future.
I think that leads directly into a conversation I wanted to ask you about the present day, about the two-party system, to your point, not necessarily with veterans, but with independent voters, with everything going on this week with President Biden. Let me put two sets of numbers up from the polling. First of all, who do you plan to vote for in November among registered voters? And we highlight the independents on the right side of the screen. Trump 35, Biden 27, RFK Jr.'s at 10. But the second one, who beats Trump in a hypothetical is what we've been talking about here in the show the last couple of days, right? So Michelle Obama, let's cross that name off the list because nobody thinks she's actually running. But the rest, Kamala Harris, very, very close. Gavin Newsom, Gretchen Whitmer, Andy Beshear out of Kentucky, J.B. Pritzker, Illinois. From your point of view, and you know a lot about how independent voters think, who would you say gives Democrats the best shot against Trump if you're going after independent voters?
I think you got to put somebody forward who's strong, who is independent, who's not known and labeled as a partisan Democrat. I think most of the names that you're hearing actually won't do well with independents. Somebody like Kamala Harris or Gavin Newsom, who are known as liberal Democrats from California, that's literally going to drive away independents. They're not military veterans. So I think you're really looking at somebody that maybe is off the radar. I think J.B. Pritzker is the kind of person that could sound a lot more independent and populist. I think there's outsiders like Wes Moore, who's an 82nd Airborne veteran. He's young. He's captivating. Right. He's the governor of Maryland right now. I think those are the names that might emerge quickly, because this is all going to get reshuffled.
That might be a second person, right, Paul? Do you think about that? I mean, we don't know. We're all speculating right now. But those names you're mentioning might be a running mate for, say, a Kamala Harris. Is that fair?
Or they may run themselves. I mean, I think the Democrats are circling Joe Biden right now. And it's clear, I think, to most of America that Joe Biden is not going to win. He may not be able to serve in January. He may not be able to serve at the end of this month. So the urgency is now. And I think after this meeting with the governors and in the next couple of days to come, the vultures are circling. I think that Biden's days are numbered as the candidate for the Democrats. They recognize that his poll numbers will slip over time. And they don't even know if he's going to make it all the way to the election. I think that's the point they have to underscore here. And I think we're going to see a very chaotic situation in the next couple of days and weeks.
All right, we'll keep talking about it. Enjoy the 4th, Paul. It's always great to have you on. Paul Rieckhoff, thanks very much.
Thank you, sir. To you and yours.
All right, let's